feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Seattle Shrimp Tank. Although, you know what? It's the dawning of a brand new age. A brand new age. Here in the Shrimp Tank, we're coming to you virtually from Seattle, the PNW, and as you're going to find out, even occasionally north of the border. Now, listen, if you want to learn how to start, grow, or run a successful business, this is the podcast you want to listen to. This is where street smarts and book smarts, they collide. I'm Dan Whedon, and I have got 4 guests today for the last time as guests. What we've got is our 4 new co-hosts. So you may remember that last week we said goodbye to Brad Berger. He had a lot of business demands. He's fine and well, but he had to step away. It took me 4 people to replace him. But what we're going to do is we're going to have one of these great co-hosts every week starting next week. But I thought, you know what? We've got to meet all of them first. Now, listen, before I introduce you, I do have to remind you that we are ubiquitous wherever you get your podcasts. We're on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and we're on YouTube. And by the way, you're checking us out right now on our Facebook page where we go live now every noon Pacific time. So grab your lunch and join us. All right, enough of that nonsense. I have got 4 wonderful people here that I want to introduce right here, right now. And how I'm going to do it is I'm going to start based on the week that you're going to go, and then we're going to come back and talk some more. So first, Algealyn Sperber, how you doing?
Hey.
Say hello to everybody.
Hi, I am Algealyn Sperber. I am doing well.
Thank you, Algealyn. James Alberson, are you in the house?
James Alberson in the house. Hello to everyone, and I am doing well as also.
Going north of the border, my friend in Regina, see, I can say your name, but I can't say where you live. Regina, Saskatchewan, Phil Symchich. How you doing, Phil?
Hello, everyone. Great to be here.
And finally, out of Bellevue, I feel like I'm calling a boxing thing here. Out of Bellevue, the Equinox Business Law Group, Michelle Bomberger. Michelle, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Dan.
Listen, I'm so excited to have each one of you here. I think it was really important, though, before we just dove into a new era, like I said, that we have an opportunity to talk with each of you and learn a little bit more about you, about your business. And I also want to know why you said yes to me when I came calling and asked, would you be a podcast host? Why you said yes. And by the way, for everybody out there, so you know, not only are they going to be our co-hosts, but they are our title sponsors. We have some more sponsors I'll introduce later, but their business is our title sponsor. So thank you for that. Algealyn, I'm going to put you up to bat first. Algealyn Sperber, tell us a little bit about your business, Ladybox. People should know that you were a guest on our show, seems like a long time ago now because of COVID, but probably about a year and a half ago. For those who missed it, tell us about Ladybox and about Algealyn.
So Ladybox is an organic women's health subscription box focusing on periods, pregnancy, postpartum, and menopause. Why I said yes to you, Dan, I for some reason I can't say no to you. So why not? Plus, it's always fun to chat with you, and I love learning about the different stories that entrepreneurs have to share. And you know, like about me, I love to kayak. I love being here in the Pacific Northwest. I love promoting other people's businesses if they are aligned with me. And I don't know. I really love chatting with people and getting to know.
Well, I know that in you know, the subscription model is new. for you over the last couple of years, but you have a deep history in business and in marketing. In fact, no, you grew up here, but then you went down to LA for a number of years, helping in a marketing company down there. Talk about your passion for marketing.
My passion for marketing, again, is sparked by wanting to connect with people and connecting them to, products or services that will positively impact them. Plus, I have always enjoyed being creative and, either coming up with like something fun and spunky that gets featured in Cosmopolitan magazine, or, coming up with like a fun pitch idea to get somebody covered on the Today Show. Those are always kind of fun things to do, or even coming up with like a creative launch, go-to-market strategy. I love promoting.
So Algealynn, I got to tell you now I know why I asked you. Fun and spunky. That's what I'm going with, because that is you. Hey, thanks very much. I know we're going to be hearing much more from you over the time period, especially around what you do and what you love. You're going to make a great host. Thank you for joining us. James Alberson.
Yes, sir.
What's up, brother?
Oh, hey, the shrimp tank. That's
The
what's
shrimp.
up. A new world, I guess.
You're deep into the tank. Okay, tell everybody what you do. Tell us a little bit about your world, what kind of business that you have, and what do you enjoy about business and life?
Absolutely. Well, Sandler Training is essentially a training and development company. I like to say we're business growth advisors, and typically we provide training, coaching, and consulting for small, medium, some large companies. We are a globally franchised organization, but a lot of, to make it simple, companies come to us, maybe their sales team having a hard time putting strong opportunities in the pipeline. Maybe they have put opportunities in the pipeline, but they have a hard time actually closing and taking them across the finish line. And in other cases, maybe they take them across the finish line, but they do so at a heavily discounted price. Therefore, the company loses margin. Sales challenges like that, we provide in an ongoing fashion, a proven sales process. We kind of get them out of their own head trash type of space and get them to having I like to say adult, no nonsense interactions with their opportunities to be more effective, close more business. And we do so through coaching and consulting and that sort of thing. As far as why the business and that sort of thing, I've always been in sales for over 20 years before I bought my franchise. And, I like the opportunity of training and helping people getting better and coaching and seeing those genius attacks, those aha moments when somebody can actually take things up to the next level by making maybe even an incremental change in how they do things. Why? I think I'm supposed to answer why I said yes.
Well, hold on. Before you say why, I got to ask you now, and we are going to have a little bit of fun with hot or not or plead the fifth, but I'm going to ask you now, and the others better hang on because I'm going to ask them now. If Algealynn, if I'm going to label her as fun and spunky, what are you?
Comic relief, let's say.
Comic relief, okay.
How about that? Yeah.
But James, you and I just really have recently met. We've probably known each other maybe 3 or 4 months through a group called Provisors.
Mm-hmm.
I came to you out of the blue. Tell me why you said yes to me.
Well, first, I hate to see a grown man cry, and so that was probably the first reason. But other than that, I think it's a great opportunity. I love the idea of the podcast to get to talk to business owners, CEOs, that sort of thing, who are really striving to just make their mark in the best way they can. I figure maybe I can bring something to the interaction. And overall, quite frankly, I think it'll be a lot of fun. And did I mention I hate to see a grown man crying?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm glad I'm not crying, but I know I might be crying with laughter if you're comic relief. So well done, James. Back to you with more in a few minutes. Yes, Phil Symchich, my buddy up north. Now listen, Phil, this is the only way today that we can have you because there's the Canadian-USA border is still closed. So we have to go this way to make sure that we see you. Phil, tell everybody a little bit about you and your business, please.
Sure. So backing up a little bit, when I was a teenager, my mom and dad and aunt and uncle bought a business. They bought a 22-room seasonal hotel. It was only open full-time 2 months of the year. That was not the most challenging part. The most challenging part was interest rates were 23%. So before they bought the business, they went to the accountant. He said, don't buy the business. It doesn't make any money. He was right. But they went to the bank and they all had good credit and lots of collateral. So the bank lent the money because the bank was fully secured, not because it was a great business idea. So now we were in business and nobody was entrepreneurial. So that was extremely stressful, difficult, challenging times. We ate a lot of beans, so that creates its own problem. And so the reason I got into first accounting and then consulting was to help entrepreneurs really not go through the financial stress that we did at that time and that many are going through now at this time. So I've had a few different careers along the way. Paid the rent as a hockey referee. That didn't work out. It's not much fun if you need a police escort to get home and you've got people throwing things at you. And,
they take hockey seriously up there, right, Phil?
Yes, we play to win, that's for sure. And then I worked for a bank for a little while and learned that banking is a highly profitable business, and that there are certain ways that we as business owners and leaders and advisors can properly use banking to help us grow our revenues and our profits instead of just the bank's revenues and profits. So I have a really good love-hate relationship with the bank. They're necessary, and we structure things for the client's best interest, not necessarily the bank's best interest. And then I got into accounting, so I became a CPA. I got tired of looking in the rearview mirror at what happened last year. So that career only lasted about 2 years, and I switched full-time to consulting. And this is actually my 25th year as consulting. I work predominantly with small, medium companies and organizations of that size. I think I'm allergic to government. So those don't really fit as clients, although my dad, ironically, and my aunt and uncle, they were all civil servants. So that was the entrepreneurial background that got us into hot water in the first place. And now my company, SME Business Wealth Builder, I work specifically with helping the owners and shareholders to build wealth through the business. So the business is a vehicle and a tool. And sometimes that's hard for owners and entrepreneurs to separate their ego and their hearts and minds, because their entire soul is wrapped up in their business. So we might need a little bit of shock therapy, or I prefer to use the two-step whiskey and dynamite to deal with that dynamic. And then we get them thinking, okay, it's not just me, it's a thing unto itself. And now that we can start thinking about it a little bit more independently and objectively, and then we can really turbocharge it and step on the gas and grow. And then the other thing that I do is I also coach and mentor other accountants, business advisors, and consultants around the world who work with small and medium enterprises, because it's a very different dynamic. We are focused on speed and laser precision, and that's what works best with SMEs. And then for fun, photography is one of my hobbies. Astronomy is more of a minor hobby, but really like getting out with a camera any time of the day or night or even the year. So as long as the gear works when it's at -20, we're good to go. Also like kayaking. So that's a popular sport, and mountain biking, and competing with Dan on our Apple Watches.
On our Apple Watches. So, fitness. And Phil and I have another thing in common. We are surrounded by great women. We both are not only married to them, but we also have daughters. Both of us have 2 daughters. So girls are the story of our life, I think. One quick thing before we move on to Michelle. Why did you say yes?
One reason, Dan, logistics. You're great at logistics, and I do not like logistics. So show up, tell my message, share my message with the world, and thank you for being the king of logistics.
Well, you've now become the king of non-logistics. I may have to call you that. Thanks, Phil. Michelle Bomberger, How's life over in Bellevue?
Things are great in Bellevue. I love this time of year. We've got all of the rhododendrons and the azaleas blooming. Got to plant the veggie garden. So when you were talking about things we enjoy doing, starting to see all those vegetable sprouts coming up. So looking forward to the summer.
So tell us all about you and Equinox Business Law Group.
Yeah, so Equinox is a law firm and business consultancy that offers small and medium businesses the benefits of a general counsel. This is something that large companies have at their beck and call, someone that they pay a salary to that can basically tackle anything. But most small companies look at legal as a line item of expense, and the goal is to minimize it at all costs. Well, ultimately that's to their detriment. And so we have a general counsel services model that you would maybe position as subscription, that is an all-inclusive service that allows businesses to really build the legal infrastructure that they need for a successful future. And
you really have kind of built it around this fractional business model that has become you see a lot in small and medium-sized businesses. You've been doing this for a while, though. How long have you been going?
We're celebrating 16 years this year.
Great, fantastic. What do you like to do for fun besides gardening?
I love my garden. Related to that, I love my cooking. So in the summertime, the kids get to hear and this is from the garden, and this is from the garden, and this is from the garden. And they roll their eyes at me. Those are teenagers. So my second hobby is hanging out with them and enjoying the activities with them. And then of course, travel, which has been one of those sort of things that you just sort of long for during the last year. We've had a few staycations that have been fun, but travel definitely is deep within my favorite things to do.
So Michelle, you invited me to be on one of your Equinox Business Law Group webinars. It probably was about a month ago. And I was so thrilled in doing it. And truly, when Brad made his decision to leave and I had to go out and find people, literally I thought, you know what? Michelle and we made a great team a little while ago. I'm going to ask Michelle, tell everybody why you said yes to me.
Well, Dan, you didn't mention that we've known each other for many, many years as well. So we go way back. And so I know that what you've put together here is such a strong brand. And I've been a guest on the show as well.
And you have the shrimp you have the shrimp to prove it, don't you?
I have my little shrimp. But really, for me, it's about being around entrepreneurs and business owners. I love the stories. And I think this show does a fantastic job of bringing out not only the business story, but the underlying behind the scenes personal story. And to me, that's really the fun part about these interviews. And I'm really, really excited about being a part of it.
Well, I'm excited to have you too. Okay, so we've got a name for everybody else. What should be your moniker?
I'm the grounding force.
The grounding force. Okay, sounds like a plan. All right, hey everybody, I'm going to come back to you as those of you who have watched or listened before. We have Plead the Fifth and Hot or Not. Today we're not having any commercials other than in a second I'm going to introduce some of our other sponsors that are helping support our show. I'm going to ask these guys because they're going to be asking the Hot or Not or Plead the Fifth on their own guests. I'm going to do a little bit right now, digging into a little more personal stuff. Let's find out more about them. But for right now, a big thank you to our sponsors. The title sponsors, you're looking at them right now. Ladybox, Sandler Training Seattle, SME Business Wealth Builder, and Equinox Business Law Group. Each week, you'll hear a little bit more about them. They'll have their own time to talk about how they help their clients. I also want to give a big shout out to the following sponsors for this year. We may have a few more coming, but for right now, First Underwriters Insurance, the Kitsap Sun Newspaper, Ideal Life 360, and Cornerstone Financial Strategies. Thanks especially to Brad Berger. He not only left, but he's still going to be a sponsor, and appreciate that very much. Port Ludlow Resort and West Bay Auto Parts. Port Ludlow Resort, Diana Smelland is going to be a guest in a couple of weeks. James, you're going to get to meet Diana specifically, and West Bay Auto Parts. Ken Price has been a guest before. So thank you to all of them. All right. Algealynn, James, Phil, Michelle, here's how this works. I know you know, but I gotta set it up. I'm gonna pepper you with some questions about business, about life, about you, about I don't know, your pets. We'll find out. At the end, you win absolutely nothing. So you know, and if it's a plead the fifth, by the way, you know, I'm only probably going to get one to you. I'm going to ask you not to fair catch unless I'll have a backup just in case. So this one, I'm going to go right in order here. And I've known Phil the longest. Phil and I met originally. We're part of the same consulting group. Phil and I met originally, I believe, in Denver in a cigar bar. That we can talk about that later, I guess. I think we have some fun stories from that. But Phil, I'm going to start with a hot or not. Hot or not? Still, well, you know, this is actually, I'm going to make you choose. Still life photos versus photos of people. What do you like better? Still life photos or photos of people?
The photos of people, you're capturing emotion and them ideally in a real situation, even if it's a posed portrait. So photos of people, much more challenging, but definitely much more effective when you get it right.
Now, I have seen on your Facebook page incredible photos of the moon. I know you mentioned astronomy is kind of your minor. So if I go and say moon versus terrain or landscape, where do you go there?
Well, judging from the 80% moon photos everywhere in my life and on my mugs and everything, and trying to get it tattooed on my dog, I think I'd have to go with the moon photos, because the moon, when it shows up, it's different all the time because it's always changing. The lighting is always changing, and the more lens you have, the closer you can get. So
I don't think Lola, your dog, wants a tattoo. It's kind of one of those things. So thanks, Phil. I'll be back with you later for a plead the fifth. Algealynn. I've known Algealynn for a long time as well. Like I said, actually, James is one of my newer friends, but Algealynn and I go way back. And so I got a hot or not for you.
Okay.
And this is kind of an easy one, because Algealynn, you speak a lot of languages, right?
I attempt.
Pardon me?
I attempt.
You attempt. Well, how many languages do you speak?
I mean, fluently 2, and then just like probably pidgin for like 7.
Okay. Which language, hot or not? I'm going to make this hot or not. Is it hot to really get to know all of the nasty language, the bad language? You know, is that okay to get that slang kind of bad language, hot or not, on all the other languages?
I always think it's hot to know something vulgar in as many languages as you can learn.
I was
in that
hoping
way you know what people are saying.
I was hoping you'd go that way. I was hoping it. The other good reason, and we've had a lot of exchange students, Barb and I have, is that you can't get tricked into saying something that somebody tries to trick you into saying when it's bad, because then you know.
Yeah. Although, like, one of my favorite things is it's not necessarily vulgar. It's Portuguese, and a lot of Brazilians say it. But you only want to say it to somebody that you find attractive, and you know there's like consent going on there. But you can be like, "Oh, to somebody you find very attractive, and that
do that again one more time.
Oh,
I like that. All right.
That won't get you smacked.
James,
really
I'm gonna try it tonight at home. Try it tonight at home. See how that goes. Well, James, since I have you, Algealynn, thank you. James, you know what? No, James, I'm coming to you last. I have a couple fun ones for you. I had to do the deepest digging. Michelle, hot or not? Notre Dame football.
Of hot. I mean, That's an easy one.
What? How did Notre Dame football how did that come up?
So I grew up in Panama, and when you're choosing a college, once you get to Miami, it's the same distance anywhere. So I was going far away from home no matter what, and Notre Dame was my top choice.
And so you went. So when what foot was the football team good when you were there?
Yes, I was not there for a national championship. That was a couple years.
Who was the head coach when you were there?
We had a number of them. Lou Holtz was at the beginning, and then through, who was the last one? Tyrone Willingham, maybe. I'm trying to go.
Okay, all right. So yeah, it was funny when we were doing a little research. This I didn't know. I didn't realize until reading that you were a Golden Domer, but I was curious as to how that came about. James.
Yes, sir.
I did this on purpose because we may have a little bit of a rivalry here. If you note James's bio, he's from the Purdue University, which isn't that far downfield from where South Bend is it?
Not at all. It's a stone's throw away, maybe a little further.
So if I had a hot or not for you, this is it. You are, I'm sure, an avid Boilermaker fan. Is that correct?
Oh, avid maybe. I'm a Boilermaker fan.
All right. So for you, which one on the hot or not? Which one would be more valuable to you? A Final Four appearance for the basketball team, or holding on to the old oaken bucket?
Oh, that's a great question.
So as you think about it, so people are going, what are you making them carry a bucket? No, the old oaken bucket, for those of you in the state of Washington, it's like the Apple Cup. His is with Indiana. So I'm making them think here, Final Four appearance where you don't win, but you make the Final Four, or the old oaken bucket.
Oh, well, then if we don't win, I'd say the old oaken bucket. That's that rivalry that's going to always be there. And no matter what kind of season the team is having, that game has significance. It's bragging rights. Final Four appearances, bragging rights as well, but it's a little bit more concentrated, and it keeps the rivalry alive. So I'll go with the oaken bucket.
All right, sounds good. Now I'm going to work backwards. It's going to be like the snake draft in a fantasy football thing. You get to go back to back, James.
All right.
I noticed on your LinkedIn profile that you worked for several pharma companies in sales over the years. And I got to ask you, plead the fifth, James. What is the strangest pitch you ever had to make?
The strangest pitch, I would say the overall pitch when I sold medication to eliminate toenail fungus, scientifically, medically known as onychomycosis. That was an interesting time. It was quite frankly a large market, and when you see
toenail fungus is big. Is that what I'm hearing? Toenail fungus is big.
Just go to the beach and watch someone of a maybe older age walking around and see how thick and gnarly their toenails look. They can get rid of that. I'm about to go into my pitch, but yes, that probably was the most interesting. I sold almost everything from head to toe, but that literally toe. Yeah, literally head to toe. Okay, literally.
Sounds good. All right, Michelle, I didn't expect this to come out, but you teased out my plead the fifth. Born and raised in Panama, you did something pretty unique. You paddled in the annual ocean to ocean Cayuco. Did I say that correctly?
You got it.
Ocean to ocean Cayuco race through the Panama Canal during your sophomore year in high school. Not only that, you won the women's category for that race. I got to ask, first of all, how long was that?
It's a 3-day race.
It's a 3-day race.
35 miles.
Okay. At what point, here's the plead the fifth. At what point in your mind did you say, what in the hell am I doing? I want to know, at what point did that cross your mind? And how did you then move on to keep on going?
Well, there's a lot of practice beforehand, so you really know what you're getting into the day of. So the "what the heck am I doing" happened at 5 a.m. on various mornings when you're practicing. Fortunately, it was a lot warmer than it would be doing crew here, for instance. But it's not just me. It was a 4-person team. A cayuco is sort of a cross between a cayuco, between a canoe and a kayak. So you're sitting in the bottom of the boat with four folks, 1 paddle each. And so it's definitely a team sport. And the longest day is the Gatun Lake piece at about 3 hours. And so it's partway through that, depending on how bad the weather is, on whether or not you're thinking, how did I get here? But it's a great race. They still do it. It's an annual cayuco race. There's usually 50 plus boats in it, and it's just a fantastic tradition.
Yeah, that I gotta believe that 35 miles. We had a lot of kayak talk today. Started out with Aljolynn, and then I heard from Phil, and now you, James. You and I are the only. I guess we don't even have a kayak story yet, but that's what a great accomplishment. Thanks, Michelle. Let me see. I think it was Aljolynn is next. If I'm going back here. Hey, you know what? In your bio, you talk about. I think it's something really cool. You talk about glass ceilings and taboos, for women. I want to know this. Plead the fifth. Outside of the Shrimp Tank podcast host, you and Michelle breaking the glass ceiling. I just want you to know, people they may not realize this, but in all the cities, you two are the first female hosts of the podcast. So I know that's going to go right to the top, pun intended, of your of your accomplishments, Algealyn. But what other glass ceilings or taboos either have you shattered, or do you plan on shattering while speaking Norwegian and Spanish? No, forget that part. What are you going to shatter? What glass ceilings?
Probably being one of the first brown hubby successful top company founders ever. There's not a lot of representation for other female founders like me who look and talk like me. So I probably being somebody that is brown, that doesn't have a Harvard or Ivy League degree, and is a little chubby and a single mama. So yeah, probably that.
Well, I know that's going to happen, but you got to promise me this: when it does, you're not going to leave, right? You're not going to leave the podcast and say, I'm too big time now, right? You're going to stick around, right?
I won't ever become a shark. Don't worry.
Okay. Sounds like a deal. Thank you, Algealyn. Phil, it seems like a long way to come back to you, but we made it. Now, I think I know the answer, but I just had to ask. So not too long ago, the Toronto Raptors won the NBA Lawrence O'Brien Trophy as the champs of the National Basketball Association, while at the same time, the Stanley Cup was held by a team, I think it was the Washington Capitals at the time. So tell me, plead the fifth. Is it more important for you? Would you trade back the NBA championship or even a Major League World Series just to have the Stanley Cup in Canada?
The Washington Capitals, when they won the Stanley Cup, were coached by Barry Trotz, who's from my hometown. He's a year older than me, and he married a girl from my class. So I'm very happy that Barry won the Stanley Cup. And I have pictures of that parade down Main Street.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. But answer the question. Let's forget the Capitals. Let's say there's no personal attachment to the coach. Would you trade, either the Raptors or the Blue Jays championship? Would you rather have the Stanley Cup?
No, I think the Canadian championships in a predominantly U.S. Sport, just by volume of teams, sends an important message that we may be small, but we're mighty.
I gotcha. So I got one more follow-up hockey one here before we finish off with a couple other questions. What's the hardest you've ever been hit by mistake, or maybe not by mistake, skating around as a hockey referee?
As a hockey referee, I would get hit with the puck occasionally. As a player, if you don't see a hit coming, you end up getting knocked out. And then you wake up in the dressing room with one skate off, as I did, and said, like, how did I get here? And you play half a period in a blackout.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to avoid those kinds of things. They're not good for the brain cells.
No concussion protocols back then, probably.
No. Well, the coach picked me up off the ground, and he's waving two fingers in front of me, and he said, how many fingers? So I saw 4 fingers and 2 heads, and I was good at math. And so I said 2, and he said, yeah, you're good, and put me back into play.
All right. Hey, thanks, Phil. Thanks to all of you. We've got probably about 5-6 minutes left. What I'd like to do is this is a little bit more of a round robin question that I'd like jump in, make sure we hear from all of you. But as we look at as I got my second vaccine dose today, more and more North Americans are getting those all done. We're hoping to get into more of a post-pandemic business world for small and medium-sized business owners, which you already are and which you have as clients, you serve as clients. What is probably the one, and I don't want to say it's a challenge, but what is the one pivot? What is the one innovation? What is the one thing, whatever that thing is, that is going to be necessary for them to move forward in a post-pandemic world? And so I'm going to open it up. I'm going to see who's going to come to the forefront first. I'll open it up first. Who wants to take a shot at that?
I'll jump in very quickly. And small, medium enterprises already have the speed advantage, right? And so now there's an opportunity, and it was thrust upon them to use digital and technology to provide more value more quickly. And so we, as business owners and advisors, have a huge opportunity to use technology to scale our business, to reach more clients, more companies. The local radio station said that they're not going to run Amazon ads on the radio because they want to support shop local. Yet Amazon sales from privately held small and medium companies several years ago outpaced Amazon's core sales. In other words, Amazon is the distribution for small and medium companies to sell to the rest of the world. And that's the opportunity these days.
Phil, thank you. Who's next?
I'll jump in.
Oh, go ahead, Michelle.
Sure. So one of the things that businesses have seen is a certain comfort with employees being virtual. And I think this virtual concept has broadened beyond just people working from home. People are more comfortable hiring out of state, internationally. And so the awareness that that is available, but also the necessary steps to ensure they're doing the right things for those employees and compliance. So sometimes we're quick to allow for people to have flexibility or allow for this virtual environment without maybe thinking about all the necessary steps that need to be put in place in order to do it right.
Michelle, thank you. James and Algealynn, I'm going to let you duke it out over who goes next.
I'll jump in. I think it's a combination of the technology piece that Phil was talking about, and kind of I'll take liberties with Michelle's answer, but I mean, really the thinking out of the box. It's their opportunity to be creative. Quite frankly, it's a built-in excuse to try something new because, hey, we have this new environment. So, let's expand our thinking a little bit. The sky's the limit. It may fall on his face, who knows? But from the standpoint of having to be safe and having to do things traditionally, then we have this excuse to say, no, we have to figure out a way to be different. And as an example, when we talk about, people in sales are getting your message out. We're seeing more video messages, video prospecting, sending an email with a quick video of, hey, Dan, James Alberson Sandler training. I wanted to talk to you about blah, 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 and there's a ton of technological tools that allow that. And it's the front end of it. After a while, a lot of people will be doing it. So will these be the companies that are able to take advantage and make that splash early on before it becomes quote unquote routine?
A little bit like what Phil was saying about speed. That's an important part. So Algealynn, You know of all people that I love my sports metaphors. So the bases are packed. Somebody on every base. You're coming to hit cleanup. Whack it out of the ballpark.
The big thing that is, going to be really important is understanding how to stay connected. After things start opening up, yes, you'll have, if you have like a brick and mortar place, people will be coming in to your shop or your restaurant, but you still need to consider how you're going to be able to stay connected to the people that aren't yet ready to come out and, be physically closer to people. So I think just learning how to stay connected with the people in front of you and staying connected with the people virtually to keep them attracted to your business is going to be really important.
Algealyn, thank you. So, and listen, I'm going to say thank you to all of you, but not as guests who were here today. This is a welcome. This is an introduction for all of you. Everybody's going to be seeing you coming up in the future. So for Michelle Bomberger, James Alberson, Algealyn Sperber, Phil Symchich, thank you very much for saying yes. Thank you for being here. I can't wait to have you virtually on my side as we interview some great guests. Everybody else, listen, make sure that you check out all the replays on shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle and wherever you get your podcasts. And like I said earlier, we're all over the place. iHeart, Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud. We're all over. We're ubiquitous wherever you get them. Please do that. And also jump on our Facebook page. If you're watching this later, we have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. So please join us and follow us there. Now, our next show will be a week from today. Remember, we are going every Wednesday at noon. Our next show will be on May 5th at noon Pacific time. And our guest will be Jen Fuller from DRSI. They are into superior digital printing. So for almost 30 years, and Algealyn's going to listen closely because she's going to be the co-host next week with me. For almost 30 years, fast-moving businesses have counted on DRSI for printing expertise, efficiency, and personalized service. So from the most technical construction departments to challenging business printing projects, they have the expertise to deliver and the reputation to prove it. And we're going to have Jen Fuller on along with Algealyn Sperber and myself. So thank you very much. In the meantime, between now and then, please be safe, be well, get vaccinated if you haven't yet, be prosperous, because until next week, the shrimp, it's back in the tank. See you next week.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp